Rob Van Dam! I'm Rob Van Dam. The whole show. What you say? Feel me?
Yeah. Do you feel us? Do you feel us on a Thursday? Because it is Thursday. And guess what? It is one of a kind. One of a kind. With who? Somebody cleaning their screen. It is RVD. Rob, how are you, man?
The answer.
You feel me?
You feel us, everybody. I want to know if people are feeling us. Well, we got to make you do a new one, Rob. Did you want to do that right now? Just say you feel me for audio purposes.
You need audio to was that Bobby or me? Yeah, sure. You'll just cut it out later.
Yeah, just cut it out later. Well, I'll count down. 3, 2, 1.
You feel me? I hope you do.
It's great. We're cutting it and we're putting it in. All right. You guys are here for the raw live version of Art One of a Kind with RVD. And man, we got a chat popping up today. We got Maddie in the house. We got newcomer J. Thomas Cassidy. We got Majan making his way back. Kyle Z. Good to see him again. Another man named Z. Triple E's in the house. So shout out to all you guys.
Dude, I'm still under the name of Z. Last name Z. First name.
Did you
Robbie.
really?
Yes, sir. Robbie Z in South Atlantic.
Really? I didn't know that. I knew you were Robbie V. I never knew Robbie Z.
See, you're always learning new things.
How about that?
And then when then after I got the name Rob Van Dam, I went back there. They were like, "Really? You're gonna change it to what?
What now?"
Yeah, they didn't quite see the future in the name that was apparently there.
Yeah, right. Jeez, look, it's now a household name. So there we go. A household name indeed. Do you guys have
every men's room?
Every men's room, right? If you guys have any questions, feel free to pop them in. If you use the super chat, you'll definitely get your question answered, and it puts it on my radar. So, and you get to the front of the line when you do that stuff. So it always helps out with the show. Be sure, if you haven't yet, to sign up for that little place above me. It's called Only Wrestlers. Go to onlywrestlers.com. Sign up now and subscribe to Rob for free, Katie Forbes for free. And then you can subscribe to other talents on there for, well, not for free, but
some of them are for free.
Some of them are.
Mm-hmm. Some of them are, yeah.
But somebody like a Fonzie is up there that you can subscribe to. And he happened to be at the inaugural Only Wrestlers show that happened on March 20th in Los Angeles, California. And so pretty cool stuff like that. And now we got one upcoming in May, right, Rob?
Yeah, I don't know the dates yet. You know, we gotta still talk in detail about. We're kind of, just getting over the last one, but we're talking about everything we can do, everything we can learn from the first one moving forward. With our second show will be in Chicago and in May, but we don't have a date that I know of. My partners might have a date, but I don't. But I want to make it even more interactive so that people can be voting on the matches at home and in the venue, at least up till a certain time, which I think would make it different. And I want to be different. I don't want to do what everyone else is doing. There's no interest in that,
Yeah.
But the place that they're looking at, I guess it's called the Admiral or Admiral something in Chicago, and I'm told that it has mafia history. And I have yet to look it up.
Okay, Rob. So it's called the Admiral Theater in Chicago.
Admiral Theater, okay.
And it was opened in 1927. Let's see if they have any good information about that.
Okay.
It was designed by Gallup and Joy and acquired by the Balbin and Cat Circuit. The Admiral closed sometime in the late 50s and remained shuttered for many years until opening in 1969 as an all-cartoon venue. In the early 1970s, the Admiral opened as an adult movie house.
Whoa.
Yeah. And then after receiving a facelift in the 80s, the Admiral continued to thrive as an adult venue and strip club. While the interior has been drastically altered, the facade and is in remarkably good shape. It looks pretty cool from the outside.
I didn't hear nothing about Mafia.
No, I didn't hear any Mafia stuff. I did not hear that.
Okay.
But, should be a pretty neat venue.
Yeah, that's what I'm told.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Well, hey, might as well kick it off with a super chat here. Kyle Z chimes in, asks, RVD, any stories of running into Skinny Joey?
No, I've never run into Skinny Joey ever, so I don't have any stories.
Is Skinny Joey, was he an ECW fan? Is that what
no, he doesn't really know anything about wrestling. He had Skinny Joey Merlino is
Joey Merlino,
Philadelphia, or he's from Philly, and in fact, possibly the boss, because he just did his time and came out and started doing a podcast, and that was what was interesting. He never, hey baby, Katie just got home.
Hey, how's it going?
Great.
That's good. How was your match?
It was awesome.
Yeah?
It was one of my best matches Rob ever seen.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You fought Danny. Is it Danny Moe? Is that who you took on?
I fought Danny Moe at the Juggalo show.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Gypsy Mac at Chris Bay's benefit show.
Oh, that's awesome.
Not Christy Mack.
I said Gypsy Mac.
Oh, okay.
Check out my shirt. Y'all can have one too. It's on WWE.
Oh, is that a new one? Look at that. That's sweet.
Representing.
Always.
Heck yeah.
Everything's going on at the same time. People calling me, dogs attacking me, and I have a cameo expired in 14 minutes. So,
do you want to do it?
I'm gonna have to do that on the air. Oh, you can hold it on my do. I can just do it.
Yeah, you can just do it. You just want to do it?
Yeah,
that's fine with me.
Let's see. His birthday was March 21st. Oops, that's 6 days late. He owns one of the most successful wrestling promotions in Relentless Wrestling. Chase is a great father and partner. He loves his dog Jameson. He loves all aspects of wrestling. From Jackson Price. Okay, so Jackson, and this is for Chase James, the hometown hero, and that is his partner. I don't know. Let's do it. Okay, let's see. From Jackson Price for Chase James. Let's just do it. Boom. Get a countdown. Here's how it looks on mine. Oops. 3, 2, 1. Boom. Dude, happy birthday to you, Chase James, the hometown hero. What's up, dude? I hope you had a great birthday. I say had because obviously March 21st already came and gone, but we're still celebrating here in the Van Dam universe. So check this out. Jackson Price reached out and he said, yo, my boy Chase is not only one of the most successful wrestling promoters because Relentless Wrestling is the bomb, but he says you're a great father and partner. And what the hell? You love your dog Jameson. So, hey, we're definitely doggy people around here. So shout out to the dog named after the whiskey. I'll take some whiskey and some Baileys in my Irish coffee, please. Okay, let's not make this about me. Dude, let's talk about this. It's your birthday. Happy birthday. I'm so glad to be able to be part of it and to wish you this wish. Hall of Famer, Mr. Monday Night, the whole damn show. I'm telling you, happy effing birthday, James, the hometown hero from RVD. Bam. Boom, money.
Boom. One take, Rob. I gotta say, you're too good at that. You are too good at that.
Two takes live on the air. I gotta go with it.
Yeah, right.
Say, oh fuck, I fucked up. For some reason, I can never do my cameo requests until they're almost out of time. And when I got 7 days left, automatically when I see it, it just goes to the back of my brain.
Oh, well, that. I always find too, like we talked about procrastination before that we start recording too. And like, I always find like once a deadline, I have a deadline and it gets closer and closer, I usually do a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah. I only leave when I'm barely going to have enough time to make it to the airport. Always been that way, and it's not something I'm bragging on, but it's just self-awareness.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, we got Ben in the chat too. We know Ben. He says Happy Chase Day. So
Ben and Nigger.
Yeah, there we
Ben
go.
again.
Yeah.
Ben and Jerry's.
Ben and Jerry's, right? Okay. Well, Rob. Oh, we just got another
Lambert. I know that guy. That's Ben. That's who you're talking about.
Ben Masters. That's right.
I see it. I put it all together now.
There you go.
He says happy birthday.
He says K Pasta too. Frankie Terizo thanks for the $5. Did Taz have shoot training like judo or high school wrestling? Why didn't Paul book you on the first ECW pay-per-view? And was your promo that night a shoot?
Holy cow. That is a 4-parter, if I counted that right.
Let's see.
So, pardon me, but I'm going to have to light a doobie.
Light up.
In order to answer this multifaceted question. I don't know what Taz's background is. I believe that he has some judo. I don't know if it was competitive or just training or what. I don't know. If we did ever talk about it, then I must have forgot. And why didn't Paul? That's a good question. I really don't know what the answer is about Paul not having me booked on that first pay-per-view. I would guess there's only so many spots on the card, but why I didn't have a spot, I don't know. Was it because he made so many promises to other people that were there before me that weren't Mr. Pay-Per-View, that weren't as over as me? Maybe. You know what's funny is I don't get asked that, and I don't even remember ever thinking about it. I don't think I've given much thought to it, and now I'm curious. Like, I wonder, I would like to ask Sabu what he thinks about that. Why? Yeah. Why wasn't I booked on that? Because maybe there is a good reason. I feel like I did hear a reason once, but I don't know. If it was something I considered valid, if it was an excuse, but it does seem like I remember maybe even Paul saying something in an interview, something besides it was an oversight. I forgot about Van Dam. It wasn't like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he didn't have a good opponent to put with me or so many matches. I don't know. I can't really answer that. And what was the other part of that question?
Was the promo you cut, was that a shoot?
Oh, it was a shoot. The best promos are shoots, but it wasn't. It was a shoot, I guess, like a pipe bomb.
Yeah.
It wasn't an unexpected shoot, but it was a speak from the heart and feelings promo.
Yeah, yeah. And those are the best ones you can get when you get that, when you're able to kind of blur the lines like that and make it happen.
When it's like, boom, go for it, speak from the gut. And, Paul already knew that he was going to be putting me on Monday night with Raw.
Yeah.
So he was in on me saying, fuck everyone, I'll see you on Monday night where the true superstars belong. And then doing the swerve instead of going to WCW, which everyone knew I was going to go there. So instead of that, boom, big surprise, I'm on Raw. That was something that I could have never done without Paul, unless I actually quit and went there, in which case I couldn't have gone back and forth, So when I say there was no surprises, that's what I mean.
That's why maybe he didn't book you on the show? Was because you had the WWE, you're gonna jump over there, and it would make the more confusing of the lines being blurred.
But maybe I was gonna say my instincts want to say that's exactly why he should have catered to me more instead of pushing me away if he didn't want me to leave. But maybe he already thought for sure that I was leaving and had that in mind when he put the card together.
That could be it, yeah.
Could be. It seems as feasible as anything else.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe I just didn't deserve it because I wasn't good enough.
Don't say that. You were deserving. Gooch got you. Oh, got you. $5. Thank you. Got you. How did you feel about beating John Cena, becoming the first WWE and ECW double world champion? Oh, we talked about this, but yeah, Rob, how'd you feel about that?
Talk about it all the time.
Mhm.
It was awesome. That was my crowning moment of achievement in my career, because that was a moment that was made possible because of making all the choices that I made throughout my career getting up to that point. And that's why it went that way. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been in that same position. The whole wrestling playing field wouldn't have been what it was at that time. And so all of that was manifested in a way that helped make me the guy. Without bringing ECW back, without me sticking to my hardcore fundamental elements, without ignoring advice from people trying to change me and conform me, without all of that, well, one, I wouldn't be the whole effing show. Two, all those people wouldn't have been behind me so much. And three, all the people in the wrestling universe wouldn't have been behind me so much. So that whole thing was everything I stood for against everything Cena stood for. And it went one way, and it was very vindicating for me.
Yeah. I think a neat aspect of it, too, is the fact that, okay, ECW ended, after in like 2001. And then there was no imagination I'd believe of it coming back or anything like that to that effect. So like then it coming back a lot because of you making it happen, and then you kind of reaping the benefits of putting in the effort and doing the work. And you were hurt out the first one, but the second one, boom, there it is, and it's a full circle kind of moment, and that's pretty darn cool, I think. So,
boom, indeed.
Boom, 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 boom. All right. Rob, we talked about the spike to the back spot last week, which was Monday. So I guess it was this week. Never mind. We talked about it on Monday.
A couple days ago.
Yeah, a couple days ago. And it got a lot of interesting comments on social media. First off, I do want to say I put out some quotes out there. And when I do that, it's in hopes of the dirt sheets linking back to our show so people will tune in and watch or, subscribe or do whatever, get some traction. You help out the wrestling media. You're supposed to help you back. Well, there's a site or there's a social media account called Wrestle Purists, and they're not very pure because they do not credit you back. And I know there's a couple of people there that work there. Ibu, I know you. I know what you're up to.
Is he related to Sabu?
Not related to Sabu, because Sabu is generous. This guy does not seem generous, and he knows what he's doing.
Damn, Ibu.
Yeah, so I'm calling you out right now. You start citing and you start linking back to things.
Did they say on RVD's podcast he said blah, blah, blah?
They said one of a kind with RVD, but they don't put a link. They didn't tag us. They didn't do anything. So all they're getting all the engagement, and it's not going to us.
Oh, I see that quite a bit. When I see us mentioned, it's usually that.
It's usually just straight up the word, and thoughtful in a way, but not thoughtful enough, I don't think. But anywho, so I screenshotted a couple of these quotes that some fans had. And I was getting kind of mad reading some of these, but I also knew the right answer to these two. So I'll pop them up and then get your perspective, Rob. Let me go to the right page here before I do. All right, here we go. I'm going to start with this one here. Meanwhile, this is the promotion he's always going to be associated with. And so if you guys are listening on the podcast form, there's old images of Sabu with like the chair. Some flaming chairs, Bubba Ray powerbombing Spike through a flaming table, Terry Funk flaming Cactus Jack, I think it is. And then this other one, what is this one here?
Who's the he that he refers to?
You. that you're associated with? Because you talked about how you weren't a fan of John Moxley in the spike.
Oh,
So he's
I
like,
get it.
meanwhile, this is the promotion that he's always going to be associated with.
Gotcha.
And I think I know what you would probably say to something like that, but here, no, this is a positive one. We'll wait for that one. Okay, this is a funny one. This is a standard Republican take. Let me break down the examples. We can insult
Never
people.
been accused of being Republican before.
No. We can insult people, but once we are insulted, it's not the same. It's too much. ECW talent. AEW is too violent. Also ECW. Let me throw you off a ceiling to 20 tables, shaking my head. Then we have this one. This is hilarious for when you hear from everyone that RVD always prefers to hit and kick at full force. Like, I'm sure taking gimmick spikes to the back isn't good for your health, but neither is taking legit roundhouse kicks to the face from Rob Van Dam. So there's a few negative comments. Let's see if this one was it too. No, this guy's defending me. I think so. I will wait to take that. We'll wait to read that. What do you think of those comments? And what kind of response would you have to that, Rob?
Well, probably predictably, if you've ever heard me talk about it, me and Sabu called those matches garbage matches, and we just didn't respect them even in ECW. You know, I have never even been in a barbed wire match. The only one I ran out to one of Sabu's, him and Terry Funk, that legendary one. But but we always, like, New Jack would have a garbage can, several garbage cans actually by the door, and the fans would bring weapons, and they would grab them at the door and fill them in the shopping cart or garbage cans for New Jack to look through and choose which ones he wants to bring out to the ring. And that was his whole gimmick. The music would hit for the gangsters, and then they would come out and boom, would throw in the trash can or whatever, and 2x4s, spatulas, rubber chicken, all kinds of silly stuff, Nintendo, you know, whatever would be in there. And they would use that and boom, hit the guy over the head, and they would dance and shake their ass and do whatever and hit him again. And for, you know, for me, that was never my favorite, my preferred style, or what I, you know, really believed in. I mean, Sheik wouldn't have, if I would have tried like dancing and bringing a toaster into the ring, I think Sheik would have just cut my forehead open, you know, and said, "Get out, don't ever come back." You know, that was just that, you know, what are you doing? Are you trying to beat him, or are you trying to dance? You know, but you know, obviously I got taught like one way, and then the gangsters, they had a bunch. What were they called? They were called the Gangsters.
Yeah, you're right. Mm-hmm.
So they were anyway, they had like a lot of fans, and everyone had their own part of the show. But what I was taught was that the wrestlers that do that, especially when they don't know how to include wrestling in it, they use that instead of wrestling because they don't wrestle. And I always thought back then they don't know how to wrestle, which isn't always the case. But either way, they use that to replace wrestling instead of using that to add like an extreme moment or level upon the match to make it even more extreme. And then you have the match, the foundation of the match. In my case, a good match. I would have a kick-ass RVD athletic match. And then, you know, if we, boom, go through a table or something, it's because the table's right there at ringside. The ring bell timekeeper, he's sitting right there. You know, nowadays, when they load it all up with gimmicks that would never be anywhere near a ring, like doors and big sheets of glass and stuff, it's obviously just for the gimmick, and then it totally replaces wrestling. And that's why I say I hate the style of two guys just grabbing each other's neck on top of a pickup truck, looking over, and then they like both jump over and smash through everything. That's the furthest thing from wrestling to me. Who did a wrestling move to who? What happened? How were they? I mean, but you know, it is faker than it's ever been now because people got into it that weren't trained by old school legends like myself, and they've made it way different. Their mindset is so different that they can dance in the middle of a match and do silly stuff. And because during the interview afterwards, they're going to be telling the fans everything they had planned and how they went over the match beforehand, it doesn't fucking matter anyway. And that's where their mind is. That's not the mindset that we were at ever.
Yeah. And I also think too, people are saying like, oh, look at all this stuff that happened in ECW and like all the different risks that people would take there too. I can't remember.
We said that. I said the same thing about ECW back then too, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
sure.
We were stapling each other or whatever. I was like, that's not my shit.
Well, here, and that's what another person said too in this kind of defending you and saying that I'm seeing comments saying Rob Van Dam should know better. He was in ECW. Funny because I don't recall RVD taking spike bumps, stapler shots to the head, going through flaming tables, etc. That stuff was for less talented wrestlers who needed to use that to get over or slash a reaction.
Well, that's exactly how I saw it,
Yeah.
And that really is how it is now. You know what's funny? Not funny. I don't think that's the right word. Something that stuck out in my mind, though, because a couple of days ago, the news broke, like, damn, another wrestler died, like, in the ring, because one just died a few days ago in the ring. And this is not about those specific wrestlers, but I just thought, like, in general, how many people out there are the kind of people that I watch on Instagram that are having a ring made of light bulbs and they set each other on fire and then smashing through everything? And then how many of those guys call themselves wrestlers, and how many of those guys die and then makes it seem even worse than it really is, because I don't consider those guys wrestlers.
I mean, you look at a lot of those people that use and mess with the light tubes and stuff like that. There's like those deathmatch wrestlers that almost bleed out,
A lot of those guys, from my opinion, just from what I see, which is limited, but I see a lot of the what do you call them, like clips, I guess,
Yeah.
Not whole matches. God, I wouldn't want to watch a whole match, but what I see lacks wrestling completely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes the referee's even in on it. Like the guy will put gas all over a guy and gorilla press him. And then the referee like lights him on fire. And then the guy like throws him and the fire doesn't go out and he's rolling around. I usually retweet those because it's just a reminder, that like everyone thinks it looks so easy. They say don't try it at home, and people get hurt because they're not trained professionally. They're out there playing, or whatever the reason is that they're doing it. I'm sure they're not making a lot of money at it. They're doing it to show that they can slice their skin up and bleed on and still do a couple of fake moves with the other guy's help. That's what they're out to prove. So it's another level. It's a whole nother level.
It is. It really is. And it's like, no, and the Mox back or spike to the back spot too. We talked about it on Monday, was that like he could have got paralyzed from that whole spot. Like, and you saw the results of it, like Wheeler Yuta trying to pull it out of his back. It was just so gruesome, and just, you never did any of that crap in ECW. It just didn't happen. So,
in my whole career, how many times I got, let's call it requested color?
Yeah.
Twice.
Really?
Yeah. Every other time was hard way. I busted myself open so many times. There's so many photos of me bloody throughout my career. That's not because before the match, I thought, what'd be cool? I'm going to slice myself open and then make it even better, and that'll be cool. No, that was hard way shit. That was me working, busting myself open every time except for two. Both were post ECW, post 2001 WWE.
Yeah. That's crazy. See, I didn't even think about that. I didn't even know. Like, that's pretty neat.
That ain't my shit.
Yeah.
I always hated it when balls would come up to me before the match. Is it okay with you if I bleed tonight? No, motherfucker. Why do you gotta bleed every fucking match? I mean, if it happens, it happens. Why do you gotta what do you get out of that? What doesn't make the match better?
No.
I've always felt that way personally. And I know not everyone agrees with my opinion, which is fine. It's subjective. Some people love that shit. Some people love what they love about wrestling. They capture in their photo when every wrestler, when their promo photo, when they go, that tells me everything I need to know about them.
Right?
They want to tap into their crazy, and they want to intimidate you because they're so nutty, and that's who they are. That's why they're in the ring. Right?
Man,
What else could it mean? What else does that mean?
you should have done one promo photo like that, Rob.
Yeah. That's how I see it, though.
Yeah.
They
Absolutely.
think they look tough or scary or crazy, I guess. And
Right.
that's why they're doing what they do. So guess what? They might not be into headlocks and body scissor takeovers and sunset flips and backflips. Instead, they might be into hitting you with a weed whacker, and they want to call themselves a pro wrestler, but they want to hit you with a weed whacker for $10 and a 6-pack of beer.
That's it. That's it. A hot dog and a handshake. Maddie, he says, Mox equals cringe RVD equals one of a kind facts equals your wrestler's favorite wrestler.
Yeah, yes.
Speaking of, we got a new T-shirt. Did I put
You ain't forgot that, Maddie, Mr. Marijuana.
Yeah, we ain't forgot it at all.
I
Yes.
used that once or twice this week.
Yeah, take a look, guys. Let's upload it. I'm
Go,
uploading.
Look at that.
Here it is. Will it go?
Cool.
Boom. Check it out. You can get it right now. Scan that QR code. Your wrestler's favorite wrestler, RVD.
Wow, it's available right now.
Available right now on onetsports.com. So check it out. Speaking of T-shirts, Rob. Speaking of T-shirts, we got little.
You want to show the new? Yeah, I've been asked a lot, about when are we going to get some merchandise for the Heinz crime family, Bad News Bobby, and I really, we wanted to time it with this masterpiece, almost a documentary, if you will.
Yes.
And it's posted now on YouTube. So if you could show that first.
Sure.
And then we can follow up with the tag along souvenir T-shirt. But I really worked hard on this movie, stitching together a lot of comments from Facebook and Instant Messenger. Obviously, there's a lot more comments on other platforms and even here. And it's not perfect. Some of the things might be out of order. There might be a couple of repeats, but I really worked hard on it. I hope Bad Business Bobby appreciates how hard I worked on it. And it's so long that we can't show the whole thing here, but I was thinking, let's get someone in the chat room.
Maddie, pick a time frame within it's a 16-minute video, so pick a time frame in between 16 minutes, so like 1 minute.
Between 0 and 16 minutes, pick any exact time. We'll go there and we'll watch 60 seconds of it so you can get a feel for how the community supports the crime family, in particular Bad News Bobby and Dildo. And it's something that I'm going to leave up at my website. Hopefully you can put the link in it. My website, my YouTube, The Real RVD. So yeah, put the link in the description below if you can. So if they want to watch the whole thing, because after watching 1 minute, I'm sure it's going to hook you, and you'll want to see the rest of it because the community, the people that really know Bad Business Bobby, the good people of Chillicothe, people that grew up with him, they're really passionate about their thoughts. And I think it really does a lot to show what kind of a great person Bobby really is. So I'm proud. I'm proud of what I did, and I'm happy to share it.
Now, Rob, do you want me to have the sound on? Because the music is really nice. But I didn't know if you wanted to read these two at the same time. I know they go kind of quick, though, too, at the same time.
Let's just read it. Yeah.
You just want to read it? Okay.
Yeah, we don't need the sound on it.
Okay, so guys, if you want to hear the sound, go to the
By
video.
the way, Bobby, you can find this at The Real RVD, so you can watch it all. And everybody that sent me these messages that you're going to find on this documentary epic masterpiece, Bobby's going to hate you, ban you, and block you and never let you in his show again. sorry about that. He's retaliatory, but you know, I didn't want to go through and block all your names and blur them out or scratch them out or whatever. And I just think y'all should be proud. You're an outstanding community.
Outstanding. Absolutely. All right, here we go, Rob. All right, now let me see if I can blow this up a little bit more. I definitely can. Wait, can I make it bigger? Is this any better, Rob?
It is better.
Okay. Let's see if I can.
It says, "Hey, Dildo Hines, you remember Tyler Morgan, the fan from Evansville that bought your $319 VIP ticket online for the Hines Crime Families March 2024 show in Chillicothe? You know, the guy that drove 4.5 hours one way to your show, only to be turned away at the door because you wouldn't accept his PayPal receipt as proof of his payment. The guy you emailed 8 months later in December and told him you wanted to make it right and you'd send him his 319 on December 14th. Then on December 15th, you told him you'd mail it after Christmas. Well, it's been almost 2 months since you last heard from you, almost a year since you screwed him out of $319 and made him drive 9 hours round trip for nothing. That guy, do the right thing, dumbass. Bad business, Bobby is probably proud of you, but I know your sweet mom would be very disappointed. Stop screwing over people."
Wow.
Not the only thing mentions his mom in here. Those Hines boys also lied to me. They took weeks to send shit I bought after telling me they'd ship Monday over and over. And at their last show, the Steiners prices were $80 for autographs on a post they had. Come showtime, it was all $120 for the autographs. So now my son's onesie wasn't signed by them. Dylan is a true piece of shit. Love you, Rob.
Dang.
Man, what a scam.
Thanks.
Those guys. All right, the deposit, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, there's 16 minutes of these, and you can watch it on your own, so you can pause it to read it. But each one's on there for like 10 seconds with some lovely, easygoing music. Tells a little bit of a story. I recommend that you go check it out. And if you really like it, and you know you want to represent the documentary and show your love for Bobby, we do have a T-shirt now.
Yes.
That Bobby made himself. He made this shirt and an accompanying hat, and he modeled it for us. And of course,
look, it was really nice of him to do this. Actually,
yeah. He's all into. He's a good business guy. He's like, hey, if I can turn it into money, you know. So there's
is that Satan on his hat?
What's that?
Is that Satan on his hat? Dishonesty rules.
I think it is. I think it is. Reverend Bobby's been known to kind of go back and forth on his religious scams, and that's also in that piece right there. You know, lots of info on there. Justifying all God's diseases. Yes, you are, Bobby, because you're such a horrible piece of shit that it makes all the diseases that I can think of like valid. Like, all right, I guess there really is somebody that, you know, kind of has it coming that way. Dishonesty rules.
I do like the hat.
Yeah, available everywhere you buy your hats.
That's it. And Chillicothe. That's your local Chillicothe bodega.
Bobby got a part in a commercial playing a scarecrow's withered away corpse, but he has to put on 60 pounds. So if he can do it, he's got this part coming up. And I think when I look at him, that's what I think of. So, you know, I don't know what's going on with him, but I have seen healthy people. And when I see Bobby's frail little scarecrow, withered away corpse, 60 pounds shy of an actual scarecrow for the part coming up, I don't think healthy person.
Here's another T-shirt that's in production too. Speaking of the scarecrow, this is You want to wear this around Halloween time, guys. Look at that.
Whoa!
Oh, baby.
There he is.
Look at that. It's staring daggers into you.
Me too.
That guy's going to pay you back. You know you're going to get your full days of work taken from that. Your envelope's going to be all full once after a convention that you represent. So
there you go. So that's this week's little segment on Bad Business Bobby, the newlywed.
Mhm.
The newlywed.
Did they get married? Did they tie the knot?
That's right.
How about
He
that?
scammed his accomplice into tying the knot with him before he withers away and the wind blows him away.
Do you think he gave her the full ring?
I understood that that's what he was saving up for by not paying the boys what he owed them, because he had a little extra money to get an extra nice ring for Chrissy. So it's like we all got it for her, really.
Yeah, and you can't stand in between love, Rob. That's the thing too. You can't.
We're all married to her, kind of.
That would be so selfish of you guys if you wanted all your money.
Yeah, I never really thought about it that way before.
Yeah,
I can see that.
Something to think about.
Yeah, dishonesty rules. That's so I don't spit on you. I don't know if I explained that, but he has a.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
He spits on you, and then he has a little towel, and he puts it over his mouth when he talks to you, and he says, "I'm gonna fuck you on the day. Enjoy." That's what we need at the beginning of this episode, and enjoy.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
Did he used to say that too?
Oh, you don't remember me telling you that? He took me out.
That's right. That's right.
He took me out for a steak, and he doesn't eat solid food. And so he just sat there and watched me eat this awesome porterhouse steak. And man, it's so good. But he just kept saying, "Enjoy." And it was like,
okay.
I am, and
Yeah, it's good.
enjoy it. Like, I don't know, he kept saying it like every couple of minutes. He goes, I would. You want to go over there? You want to go have a cigarette or something? Or,
Want to go rip a cig or something?
yeah. So that's a fun word to say too in Bobby's honor.
That's it. Andy, thanks for the $2. Nice to meet you at SummerSlam. So he was there in Cleveland. Now he says Triple H or Vince. I don't know in what context, but I guess take that for what you will, Rob. Triple H.
Yeah, let's figure he probably means as far as like running the WWE.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Exactly. And there's no choosing to be made. It is what it is. Let's move. We got to move with the present, and I feel like when Vince was in charge, I worked for him for a long time. Also, when I was a fan, when I was younger, that was during Vince's times. And so that was an era that was cool. Right now, it feels like wrestling is like at an all-time huge level as far as business, as far as exposure, as far as success. It seems like they're growing so much that they're squeezing like oozed out growth into crevices wherever they can and coming up with new ideas to, and ways to push the momentum. And obviously that's a great thing. It seems like wrestling is cooler than I can remember it being. It was for a while there, and still for certain people, they're going to consider pro wrestling cheesy, but it's more mainstream now than I think I can remember it ever being, at least since I've been in it. It feels like it. They just, I guess, You heard the news, I'm sure. I guess they just bought back the stocks or something, so they're private now instead of public.
Oh, so TKO bought. I think TKO bought stocks, or they went public.
Endeavor. I think it was Endeavor.
That's right. Endeavor went public, but TKO is still no. Endeavor went private. TKO is still public.
Right, and Endeavor owns WWE, right?
Yeah, and
So
Endeavor owns it.
So doesn't that mean that that WWE, who used to be public, is no more public, right?
No, it's public still.
Oh.
I think the Endeavor aspect of it went private, but the rest of it, like TKO, which is the umbrella to UFC and WWE, they're still public. So, so that is still public.
All right. Well, maybe we throw that fact out, but the success level, I'm under the impression, and the acceptance by society right now, I think that it's like at an all-time high. The money that they're making is way more than they used to make. So, Triple H seems to be crushing it, and the future is untold.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah, and I think too, like Vince certainly had his moments when it was really the business booming attitude era, all that kind of thing, and in the Hulk Hogan era, the Golden Age, or whatever they called it. But there was the aspect too, as time waned on, his the pro wrestling ties really started getting blurry, and it wasn't necessarily there as much as it was. He would steer away from the name pro wrestling. He would stay away from all that kind of stuff. And it really did take away creatively. Vince's creative gusto, I thought, left. And so Triple H has an appreciation for the history of the wrestling business, but in tandem with that, ties in the sports entertainment aspect that goes into play too. So I think he's found the good balance of it all, where it's, all encompassing and casts a wide net. We talked about it last week, how AEW can limit itself if they do that stuff from kids and stuff like that. Here, this is intriguing to kids. It's intriguing to like a demographic closer to like the 18 to 35 and above. And so it covers a lot of bases. So yeah, it's like all the creative aspects really feeling it right now, Rob, I think too. So,
You know what else is worth mentioning? Cain Velasquez.
Yes. Let's get your thoughts on that, because I have some thoughts.
I can't believe how many people are behind him. Like 100%. Like they think he's a hero, and a lot of them are saying they would do the same thing. And I think that's frightening, actually. So, from what I understand, there's a guy that allegedly maybe molested a kid who maybe was Cain Velasquez's son. Some other reports said that it was another fighter's son. I don't know the exact facts of that, but either way, he's going after this predator.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like a 15-minute, 11-mile car chase, and he's firing his gun into the other car, trying to shoot the alleged child molester, and he shoots the other guy, who I think is a stepdad.
Yeah.
Of the predator, and he's in trouble for it, of course. And now they're saying, and he just got sentenced to 5 years in prison. I don't know if he'll have to do it all. I heard this is Hannibal. I heard him say that that he'll probably have to do a year, but I don't know all that. But I'm amazed at how many people think, wow, so the bad guy gets away and the hero goes to jail. I've seen like so many comments of that, and so many people saying, hey man, he's trying to protect his family. I do. A lot of people do the same thing, and I'm just like overwhelmed at how many people think that it's okay to chase a car down, shooting at them while they're trying to get away. I mean, what if he would have shot him in the head and murdered him? He would be going to prison for murder. You can't shoot someone while they're running away from you, trying to escape. You have to be defending yourself in trouble, like they're coming after you, or you or someone else is in immediate danger. You can't chase them for 15 minutes in a car shooting at them. But people don't seem to agree with that. Like so many people think that's a hero. He was trying to protect his family, but protecting your family is, and I'm not saying that I know what he felt like. I don't even have a son to know what that paternal fucking defense mechanism would feel like when it was triggered. Exactly. You know, I mean, I can imagine like with my dogs or something, because they're my kids and I love them, and we definitely anyway, people in general that have guns will shoot at people after a road rage incident while the person is leaving, trying to get away. They ran in and grabbed their gun, and now they're running after them because the person's leaving, shooting at them. Of course, they're going to get in trouble. You can't do that. And whatever the facts are, you know, what was he going to do? Kill everybody in the vehicle and then not be, and then disappear, vacate the scene maybe, and try and leave it at that? Yeah, shoot the stepdad, the stepmom, and the guy. I don't know. And I'm not, and maybe the guy's a total scumbag. It's first off, it's amazing to me how many people think that's a good heroic defensive move to do that, to chase after and shoot at someone that, you know, I don't know. I mean, I think that it's because of what it's about that makes it okay for people, because people are so triggered about protecting children. People think, so people think that if somebody harmed a child, they're the worst person, they should die. You know, I think, I mean, I don't know what happened. Okay. Let's say a guy pulled his pants down and showed his dick to some kids. Horrible, but put that on a scale against a guy at an old folks home that's torturing old people and laughing at it because they can't tell, or something like that. I mean, is there an argument to be made there, or is it just automatically like, boom, nope, it affects kids, fuck them, they go to hell and die? But that's people's instincts, and that's the parental drive that's in most people. I think it has something to do with defending life and needing the next generation to succeed, to protect, to sustain our life form. I think it's something really innate like that. I do, because when I talk it out, I can't make sense out of why so many people jump to such an extreme that they think that would be an acceptable and appropriate action. So what do you think about that?
So I think we talked about this really early on too, I think in the podcast. I think there's a certain aspect when it comes to animals and children, and old people too. There's a certain naivety to it, where it's like there is that innocence that they aren't able to comprehend certainly what's going on to them, and that these predators are taking advantage of them, whether it's an animal abuser or a child abuser or anything like that. And so I think the humane, or the thought process of sympathy and empathy for having, like, whether you have a kid or, especially if you're a parent, I'm sure, but like you think about that and doing that to your own child, I think that automatically motivates you to be like, yeah, fuck that. And like, I'm going to go after this person, or I'm going to take this person out. And so, like when this Cain Velasquez news broke, I was like all for him. I was like, hell yeah. And everything like that. I was like, yeah, fucking take it to that predator and stuff like that. But the aspect to him, you think about the situation where it's a car chase. You're shooting a gun while people are driving. Say if you do shoot the predator, and he's dead. Was he driving? And if he was driving, he could go and kill somebody else, like at the same time. Like that's another thing that you could worry about. And plus, yeah, the stepdad, if you shoot like he's indirectly like associated with this predator, but like he's the innocent too, quote unquote, in this too. So it's just like there's a lot of different factors that come into play.
Yeah,
I think
it's so Wild West, that's why.
Right. And you're running the risk of hurting other people when that happens too at the same time. So it's like I certainly empathize with Cain Velasquez, because I don't have kids either, Rob. And so it's just like, I think about like, I always think about, man, if somebody fucked with my cat, I would fucking beat the living shit out of him at the very least. Like, if I could, if I'm physically capable of doing that. So it's like I could certainly empathize with Cain because it was a relative. I don't think they disclosed what relative it was of Cain, but so I can empathize with it. But certainly, yeah, like in that situation, and maybe in that moment of passion and anger and rage, I can also empathize with that too. But the thing is like you're on a 19-mile speed, you got to be like, oh God, no, this is not the way to handle it right here, right now. Even though I want to beat the living fuck out of that person, or quote unquote, and they're, unalive them, if you will.
Yeah, as Robert Reese put it in the chat room over here. He said it's completely it was shooting recklessly, but it's completely understandable. So yeah, I think I can understand how somebody could be, wanting to hurt somebody so bad and being so maybe raged. I can understand that part, but what amazes me is the fan support, where the people seem to think that Cain should be a hero instead of getting in trouble. That's what's amazing to me.
Yeah, it's certainly like, because people are going to have their extreme opinions on something such a big topic too. And I'll admit too, like when I read it, like I think I saw Meltzer first write about the results of it, and I was like, oh, that's kind of a bummer. He's got like 500 days in jail. Because I was like, yeah, I sympathize or empathize. I didn't sympathize. I empathize with Cain in certain ways when it comes to it. But yeah, it's certainly like, but hearing the details, like I didn't know when you explained that. I didn't know it was like on a car chase and like could put other people in danger, and the other guy got shot too. I knew that aspect, but
yeah, if he would have just seen him, even if he wouldn't have, let's say, because they said I think it happened maybe at a day school.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Let's say Cain shows up there and he's already been tipped off that this is going on, and he goes there looking for the guy, and he sees the guy there. Let's say he pulls his gun out, boom, shoots the guy, murders him right there, without all the craziness with the car chase and shooting around and shooting the innocent and all that. Even if it was just that simple, he saw him and ended the problem right then, he still would obviously be facing a lot of trouble, right?
Or I would think so, right? Because I don't know how crimes of passion get measured in certain aspects. Like if you walk in and like, somebody
went there looking for him,
right?
Premeditated. He's got a gun on him.
Good point. That's a good point too. Yeah. So
I think crime of passion would be more like a rage,
more in the instant.
Right? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because
it is interesting, and hopefully he doesn't have to do the 5 years, because that would suck.
I wouldn't imagine he probably wouldn't, but who knows? Like hopefully. Here's another interesting comment that is.
And it's still unsolved. Like he's still gonna go after the guy when he gets out, probably.
Right? Or like, I always think too. I mean, like, not that this is justice totally served, but the guy's has to be on the list at this point. Be like, stay away from that motherfucker.
I don't know how that shit works.
I don't know how that works either. Yeah.
But you know what? Before we move on, there's a guy in the wrestling business that we all know that has been associated with pedophilia. That sometimes he books whole shows and stuff. And some of the boys choose to not work for him or be seen with him or whatever, which is definitely, an understandable choice. But here's where I stand on the evidence.
Uh-huh.
What I know is that dude showed up to someone's house to the front door, and supposedly he's looking for someone young, a 15-year-old. Gets surprised when an adult answers the door, and he takes off running. It does not look good, but that is definitely not lawful evidence that he fucked kids, and I do not know if he's ever crossed those lines. And I know that when the subject comes up, because people are so hot to it, so sensitive to the subject, a lot of people just be like, oh no, he did. If he did that, then he's done it 1,000 times. And no, I don't know. I don't know. What if, for all I know, that could have been his only time. And I come from a perspective of like incriminating evidence. Like if you think of it that way, that would definitely not hold up in court as saying that he actually did anything to children. That's a whole nother, you need evidence of that. Does that make him a creep? Sure. I'm not denying that. But what I am saying is that I don't know for sure that anything other than that happened. I have no reason to believe. And I'm not, I don't, I separate business from what other people do anyway, as much as I can,
Sure, yeah.
People different beliefs, whether it's religion or whether it's whatever. Shit, what was I going to say about him? It was like when I had the comic book store, an incident happened, and one of the people that my manager, crossed the line. I don't know what he did. There was no proof. There was no reason to even think that I knew that he did anything other than what I knew, which is just talking to a little girl, trying to get her number and shit. But he told me, that he had these issues and fantasies and sickness, but he told me that he'd never crossed the line. He'd never acted upon it or whatever. And, when this comes up in conversations with people, a lot of people, like I said, they're just so sensitive to it. They're like, no, fuck that. I would have fucking knocked his teeth down his throat. And that's always been interesting to me also, that's somebody's first response and their first feeling and reaction, because it never crossed my mind. I never thought I'm going to knock this dude's teeth down his throat. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't happy with him, but I was just thinking, you need help. Like, how do you get help for someone? What do I do? I was so inexperienced or whatever. Of course, you can't work for me anymore.
Yeah, you gotta get the fuck out of here.
The last thought was like physically, like pummeling the guy or anything like that. It's weird that a lot of people, they're just that parental thing, and they told me that's what they would have done. I would have just fucking kicked his ass, man. That's bullshit. Because if he's trying to get that little girl's number, he's done that 1,000 times. I don't know that.
Right.
But anyway, I just wanted to mention that while we're talking about creepy pedophiles and such. Evidence is evidence, and business is business.
Yeah, guys, if you're curious, you can check out To Catch a Predator about that stuff. That's where it all stems from. It's not hard to find if you're aware. If you're aware.
Interesting how people feel about that, though. Their reflexive feelings, just boom, right off the bat, they get hot, and they just, even like in prison, I hear like when just go to prison that they get treated very badly among cannibals that are eating humans. People that are doing a lot of bad stuff, but that's like, it's just, seems to be an unacceptable crime in comparison with even other really bad crimes.
Right. No, the guy we're talking about, I remember seeing him at SummerSlam. I didn't know it was him, actually. And like I kept seeing this guy walking around, and then later on, after the fact, people were posting pictures of him like hanging out with all these different wrestlers, and I was like, "Holy shit, that's him!" I was like, "Damn!" So, yeah, guys, if you're in the chat, you people are already saying who it is, so you can check that out there. And yeah, it's definitely wild. I certainly feel a lot of empathy when it comes to stuff to how people feel when it comes to predators and stuff like that, especially kids, animals, anything like that. It does amp me up a little bit. So, let's see. We did have a super chat from Frankie Terizo. He says, "Can you recommend some mob flicks to someone who has only watched Goodfellas, Casino, Godfather, and Bronx Tale? Thanks for being cool about all my questions." You're welcome, Frankie.
Okay.
Yeah. You're a good mob. I got some suggestions, but go ahead, Rob.
You know what? He just reminded me. Is that Kings of Alto out? I think it might be out.
It is out. Yeah.
I see that.
The reviews weren't that good, Rob.
That's okay.
But,
I don't
care about the reviews either. Yeah.
I'm not worried about that. I want to see Robert De Niro play Frank Costello and Vito Genovese at the same time. Which one of the movies that I would recommend for a mob movie was when what's this actor's name? He played the Cray brothers, and the movie's called Legend, and he's like one of my favorite actors. He's Venom.
Oh, Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy. So that's the first movie I'm going to say. It's called Legend, I think.
Yes.
Legend or Legends?
Legend straight up.
Okay.
2015. He plays both characters, you said. Yeah.
Yeah, he plays the Cray these twins in England that were mobsters, and I really, really enjoyed that movie. And other ones that you named, you should know that Godfather is and the last one you said
Bronx Tale.
Bronx Tale. Yeah, so those are both like mostly fiction based on like real life shit that happened and stuff. And but the Goodfellas and Casino are both based on nonfiction books, even though they changed the names in Casino. But besides that, it's like based on, how it really went down and stuff. And those are two of my favorite movies, and I prefer the nonfiction ones. And besides Legends, maybe Kill the Irishman.
Oh, yeah, you were talking about that one. That sounds really good.
Danny Green. Yeah, Danny Green in Cleveland with the Irish mob. Is it To Kill the Irishman or Kill the Irishman? I think it's Kill the Irishman.
I think you're right. I think it's Kill the Irishman.
Yeah.
Let me look it up real quick.
And I don't mind the Irishman. I liked it. It was like really, really long, but that's also based on a nonfiction book.
Yes.
I Heard You Paint Houses was the name of the book. Mm-hmm. And I really liked the book. And I thought they did a good job of translating the book to the movie screen. I just thought, it's a lot to ask people to sit through 4 hours or whatever it was just to be dramatic and slow so you can, for the artsy factor. I think, if a lot of people said it was too long, I can't blame them. But I did like it, and I like the story of it. Let's see if I can come up with one more.
I got one.
Okay.
Donnie Brasco. I like Donnie Brasco a lot.
Good call. Yeah.
Donnie Brasco.
I'll second that. I'm not going to top that. Donnie Brasco, definitely. And he might have even seen that and forgot.
Yeah, that's what I would think. Because it's a good one. Al Pacino's really good in it. Johnny Depp's really good in it, too. Both those guys.
Yeah.
Michael Madsen's in it, I know. Those are the only three I can think of at the
And
moment.
again, like I said, one of my favorite styles because it's based on nonfiction.
Right. Yeah. It's based on all that. Does this count as a mob movie, The Departed? Yeah, it would count as a mob movie, right?
Yeah. It's loosely it's supposed to loosely be based on Whitey Bulger, but it's really hard to see that except for the fact that he had the relationships with the FBI and had like secret intel, and was controlling his criminal empire, using that to his advantage.
Yeah, yeah.
So they did it on that, you know, but besides that, it was not really not one of my favorites, and it was hard for me to really relate a lot of that to the Winter Hill Gang and Whitey Bulger, except for what I just said.
Yeah.
Donnie Brasco, that was Joe Pistone. He's an FBI agent. He went undercover, I think 6 years with the Bonanno crime family, and almost got made. And then when the FBI pulled him out and he exposed it, like people died, heads rolled.
Yeah.
And Donnie Black, Sonny Black, for one, he had to die because he brought him in and he was gonna make him, you know. He was in his gang. He brought him in. He's not the first guy to bring him in, but anyway, great movie and pretty accurate too.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I loved it a lot. It's been a few years since I've seen that movie. Actually, I need to watch that. I'm trying to think. I feel like I'm missing one that I really like that I can't think of. If I think of it, I'll let you guys know. Let's see. There was another interesting question somebody had there. We got there's some funny quotes in here. People are saying.
Hoffa, you know, if you like.
Oh, Hoffa. Somebody did mention that one. Somebody did mention that.
Man and Noble, you know, the old school kind of. I liked it.
Yeah. This is what I was going to ask you. Is there a mob story that you really would love them to make a movie out of?
Of course, yes, absolutely. And it's so easy for me to answer this. It would be like a sequel to Casino.
Oh.
Yeah. Because what happened here in Las Vegas after the movie Casino is fucking fascinating. Definitely worthy of a movie. So that was mostly the late 70s Casino and 80s. Tony Spilotro got put in the hole in the cornfield in 1986. After that, here in Vegas, there's a strip club called Crazy Horse 2. First it was Crazy Horse that a guy named Tony Paradise owned. That was on Paradise and Flamingo, from what I understand, or maybe Tropicana and Paradise. Anyway, it's definitely not there anymore. And the mob worked their way in, and they refer to Tony Albanese, known as Tony Paradise, in the movie Casino, when the guy who plays Frank Collada goes to Chicago and he's talking to the bosses up there in Chicago. And they say to him, it's the same scene, I think, where they say, "Hey, you know the little guy, you know, you heard about anything about him doing anything with the Jew's wife? You know, no, I didn't hear anything." That conversation, which I'm paraphrasing, but before that, they say something about, "Hey, they said they found a guy's head in the desert. You know anything about that?" And the actor that plays Frank Collada, what's his real name? He just passed away. Ferrara. Dave Ferrara, I think his name.
Frankie, I'm looking. Collada. In Casino, right? Yeah.
I think it's David Ferrara. Something Ferrara. Classic dude. He's in every. He's the guy. He's Billy Batts in Goodfellas.
Oh, Frank Vincent.
Is that his name?
Frank Vincent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go get your fucking shine box.
Right. Yeah. I don't know why I was thinking. But so anyway, in that scene when he goes back up to Chicago to get the report or whatever, carry money, whatever he's doing, they say, "Hey, they said they found a guy's head in the desert. You hear anything about that?" And he's like, "I heard about that. Yeah." But I didn't know till like recently that little Easter egg referred to Tony Albanese, who owned the Crazy Horse, and Rick Rizzolo was the Chicago mob that came in, did a little business with him, and then took over. And then Tony's head's in the desert, and Rick Rizzolo opened up what was called Crazy Horse 2, which if you guys are into this kind of stuff, you should Google it, Crazy Horse 2, TOO, because it was the home of the mobsters after the casino time period. Tony Spilatro's brothers were there, and this Vincent Ferrari, his dad was a big guy in the Bonanno family up in New York. And anyway, there was also a wrestling promoter there, Buffalo Jim. And Buffalo Jim has a body shop on the corner of this big building that is Crazy Horse 2. And they hated each other. And Rick Rizzolo is always trying to get rid of Buffalo Jim. And Buffalo Jim won't leave. And not only that, he's recording all kinds of illegal shit going on in the parking lot. They got bouncers beating people up, leaving them crippled out in the parking lot. And Rick Rizzolo is an FBI, or not, Buffalo Jim is an FBI informant too. He's like, report all this shit, sending it to him. Big long feud between them, going back and forth. Rick Rizzolo goes to jail, and then when he gets out, some of the things I read said he goes to like a house arrest, and it was the first day of that. Other reports said it was the day he got off of house arrest and was free. Either way, Buffalo Jim mysteriously died that very next day. Cocaine overdose in a hotel room, and the whole story is fascinating, and that's what I would love for them to make the next mobster movie about, was covering that whole time period.
Oh man, that sounds awesome.
And by the way, Unsolved Mysteries did a show on it called Death in a Hotel Room of it was October. The series that it came out was October of, I guess, let's see, maybe 2023, I think. So it's definitely worth seeing. And you'll see a lot of the people that we know knew him, Buffalo Jim. You know, I met him my first time coming out to Vegas. He was a really good friend of Godfather's.
Really?
Godfather worked at that bar, Crazy Horse 2.
No really?
He worked with all those guys when all of it was going down.
Holy shit. How old was he at the time then? Was he pretty young? He didn't get in the business, I imagine, yet?
That I don't know, but this stuff goes on into the early 2000s.
Wow.
And so in the movie Casino, the Tony Spilatro, who's Joe Pesci's character, but they call him Nicky Santoro. Yeah, they changed the names, but the guy was Tony Spilatro, and his sidekick was Frank Collada, who, like you said, Frank Vincent was playing his sidekick.
Yeah.
Frank Collada put together this burglary crew called the Hole in the Wall Gang, and they talk about it in the movie Casino. They'll go around, they put a hole in the wall to break into a place, you know. And one of the members of the Hole in the Wall Gang was a cop here in Las Vegas, and he got busted because he was giving information to Tony Spilatro.
Oh,
So they fired him, and then he just went and worked for the Hole in the Wall Gang and became part of the burglary crew. That guy was also the bartender at Crazy Horse 2 when Godfather worked there.
what?
Yeah.
That's fucking wild.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that's so cool.
I can't remember Andy was the best man at Godfather's wedding.
What? That's awesome.
Joey Blasco. He worked for the, I think it was the Metro Police Department. Joey Blasco, a cop turned fucking mobster. So Godfather, I know that he's got a lot of good stories from that, because if you look it up, if you Google it, you'll see like it was amazing. They would customers would come into that place, and they sometimes they would allegedly, even girls would even drug them or whatever. But if they were fucked up, they would take advantage of them, which a lot of strip clubs do. But on this one, they would ring up a bill, you know, like all of a sudden the guy's passed out. They have 8 of the girls all come over, you know, and drink on him or whatever. And then when he fights the tab, they would like beat the shit out of him. And one guy, they paralyzed him. There was a lawsuit going on. And so Buffalo Jim was always the anti Rick Rizzolo and always trying to turn them in and fight them. And he ended up doing the job in the end.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so he ran the National Wrestling Conference.
When I used to, we just talked about that last week. I used to tag with Bobby Bradley for the NWC.
That was the promotion?
Yeah, but when I started, Buffalo Jim was there, but TC Martin was taking over the position of being the promoter.
Wow.
Buffalo Jim was there helping him, and he was he picked up Sabu from the airport, and he liked drugs. So all the boys that liked coke would you know do and get coke from him and be happy to see him. And you know that wasn't my thing, and I was so young and green. It's like hard to even remember, but I do remember him being around. And then TC Martin took over the NWC from him.
Holy shit! Yeah, I'm looking at the Wikipedia page. They got pictures of like Terry Funk, Tito Santana. There's Sabu.
Oh yeah, Virgil, Jim Hart, Honky Tonk Man.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy, dude. I remember you talking about like working at that promotion, but I didn't make that connection that was.
Yeah, that Unsolved Mysteries is a pretty good one. Death in a Hotel Room.
Wow. Oh, I'm looking. Okay, I see a picture of Buffalo Jim here too. Well, I'll have to put him on the episode cover this week.
He was a very well-known local character, and I understand that people really liked him a lot because he was the local wrestler that was always hyping up wrestling and running the wrestling shows and on the news, and crazy car guy. Yeah.
Dang, that's crazy, man. Yeah. How about that? Man, we're getting some neat comments in the chat too. J. Thomas Cassie.
I would love if they'd made that movie.
Yeah, they should.
Yeah, and you know what? I was in there during this time too, but it was before I was interested in the mob, and I can't put myself back there. I wish to God I could, but one of my best friends, Dane, I've known him so long. He introduced me to my evil ex, but he's still one of my best friends. I don't hold that against him. But he's always DJ'd at strip clubs, which is where I met my evil ex, by the way. And I remember when he worked at Crazy Horse 2, and he was trying to tell me that, you know, it's ran by mobsters. And I remember like it just went right over my head because it just wasn't an interest at the time. And now I wish I could go back in time, you know, but the one thing that sticks out in my mind is that he said that in the office that his boss, who would have been Rick Rizzolo, that his boss, you know what, he might still have some stories for me because I can still reach him. I think anyway, he said that he had a chair in the office that was supposedly Al Capone's chair that he used to get his hair cut in. You know, and that was one thing that stuck out in my mind that I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting in a you know, like, ooh, a famous kind of way, like, hey, he's in that one movie. Oh, you know, but I wasn't into the mob lure as much, and I was definitely in that club like a few times, just visiting Dane, and in my mind I can't remember what it looked like, and it's a shame too. Like that'd be something, you know, if I could hook up a machine and like tap into my memories and open them up. That's one place I'd like to revisit.
Oh, that's sweet. Yeah, I can imagine that. So somebody in the chat here asked, and I know you talked about this really early on in the show, was how did you get in the interest in mob history and everything like that? What sparked that? I knew Hollywood. It was old Hollywood first, right? And
that's what it was. Yeah. When we were making the movie Wrong Side of Town, we rented an office at the studios in Hollywood, and I just got bit by the bug. I thought it was really cool walking around there, seeing what other things were filmed there. You know, Heroes. I really like that show. They were filming that there, and they filmed Married with Children there, and like way back in the day, they filmed the Three Stooges there. I just thought that was really interesting. And I already like sometimes would go on like the Hollywood tours, you know, and where they take you around in a shuttle and point stuff out or whatever. And I thought it was interesting, but I really started soaking it all in more when we were at the studios, and I started just thinking like, what a cool city I live in. I can drive around and like, boom, like that little shed right there is where the very first full feature movie was filmed in 1913, and nobody knows that. Everyone drives by it all day and they don't notice. You know, it's right across from the amphitheater, this little building that's a museum, and it was the original Paramount movie studio from a movie called The Squaw Man, and nobody knows that. And I used to go there, and it was a $5 museum, and they have all these old menus from the like Ambassador Hotel, the old Hollywood Hotel, and all the places that aren't there anymore, and cameras and just all kinds of memorabilia. So it's small, and they would also have celebrities do appearances there. I saw a few of them there just when I was fascinated with it. You know, I actually volunteered to be a docent there just because I wanted to be around it and learn more, just like at the Mob Museum, you know, I did the same thing. But what was her name? She starred with Marilyn Monroe, and she was the brunette to Marilyn's blonde. And she was the first, like Howard Hughes put a torpedo bra on her because her boobs were so big. The censorship had a problem with Janet Russell.
Janet Russell, is that her name?
I think that's her name.
Jane
Russell. Jane
Russell. Yeah, that's yes.
So she had a birthday party there and had birthday cake and stuff, and I was there at that, you know, and just as a mark, you know, just sitting in the crowd with everyone else while she's telling stories or whatever. But I really soaked up the Hollywood history, and I loved driving around the neighborhoods and being like, that is fucking amazing. Like so-and-so used to live here, and now so-and-so lives in the same house. And that part of Hollywood history was mob history, you know. And in particular, I remember Bugsy Siegel had a house up on Lake Hollywood, and it's something that Madonna bought later, a 9-story castle called Castillo del Lago. But when Bugsy Siegel had it, he would supposedly have like gambling games going on and shit. But it was such a way that cops couldn't get to it, except for through a neighbor's house was the only way to access the property. And Bugsy fascinated me, and then he left LA and went to Vegas, you know, and it seems like that's where my interest went too. You know, when Bugsy went to Vegas, I followed that, and it seems like it's so much more easy to contain everything here because Vegas is just like a little spot in the desert.
Yeah.
And so it's easy to absorb like the history of everything that happened here. It's not all spread out like California or something.
It's cool, Rob. People are saying J. Thomas Cassidy, watching people get hyped for their interest is always so old. Rob is no exception.
I love the history in Vegas, and it's, you know, they started gambling here in 1931, and the mob was all over it, you know.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until like the 50s that they started building the strip. The Flamingo was actually the fourth hotel on the strip. People think it was the first because of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was December 1946 that opened up. There was only 4 hotels then, but now it's fucking crazy. You know?
It's all amped up. I'm actually staying at the Flamingo when I go to Vegas this time for Mania. I'm staying, so I'm kind of pumped for that actually.
They still until I think it was 90 or 91. They tore down what was one of the original buildings that Bugsy used to have. And you can see this on YouTube. In the closet of the room, when you open up it, there's a trap door in it. And there was a tunnel with a ladder. And then the tunnel would go to the parking garage. It was like an escape route for Bugsy.
Holy shit, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Dude, that's fucking awesome, though. Man, I love Vegas. I can't wait to be there. I'll close out with this, Rob. Tying it to the mob stuff. They have an angle in NXT with Tony D'Angelo, and he's kind of got the mafia kind of gimmick kind of thing going on, like organized crime kind of aspect. Do you think that is something that can actually work as a wrestling angle, is like kind of blurring those, not actually whacking people or taking people out, but could you make something fun out of a mafia, so to speak, angle, but it's in a wrestling ecoscape, so to speak?
I think so. You know, Skull Von Crush does it. Vito.
Yeah.
He's always, when I see what he's posting, you know, he's always, a lot of times his posts are related to La Familia or whatever. And I bet a lot of Italians can relate to that, you know, even without it necessarily being about crime. Like if it is, then that's, you know, some distinct characters in society that can be portrayed in an entertaining view, and in a way where the society that does know that particular kind of person could probably like really appreciate it and enjoy their part of society being reflected. I think so.
Yeah. So it was really neat because in WWE like 2003-ish or whatever it was, they had Little Guido kind of almost had that with Chuck Colombo, and the FBI was there, and it was almost had that mob. And I was like, dude, they should really run with something like that. And they didn't. I think
it could be more about just the particular Italian people, and not necessarily so much about the criminal, but you could drop like subtle hints, and you know, if you get it, you get it, or whatever. But like way back in 1970, 71, when Joe Colombo was suing the FBI about discriminating against Italians, that was him fighting for the mafia. He was as the mafia, the head of the Colombo family, saying to the FBI, hey, back the fuck off of us. There is no mafia. You're making it up. But what he was doing was making it a much bigger picture. And he was saying that what you're doing is you're discriminating against all of the heritage of Italians, and it's prejudice. And you're saying all Italians and anyone whose name ends in a vowel is part of the mafia. And so he made it like a much bigger thing. And a lot of the particular groups that they were going after were mafia, but from a defensive point of view, they were saying, you know, you're just going after them because they're Italian and they act a certain way. And so I could see that. I could see that getting over and connecting to a larger out of that the box of mafia world.
Dude, yeah, that's what I like. You know, it's not a glamorous thing, but I always kind of like it that I'm Italian and I have that tie, like weird loose ass tie to all that shit. You know, I don't know.
You ever get accused of being in organized?
So my dad. Now, my dad was not the most forthright person and very manipulative, but he did say that he made implication that my grandfather had mafia ties. I don't know if that's true. So,
it's a small world.
Small world.
It is. It used to be a lot smaller.
It did, yes. Well, cool. This has been an awesome episode, Rob. We covered a lot of good ground in this one. So,
right on.
Guys, if you like what you're seeing, be sure to subscribe to Only Wrestlers, onlywrestlers.com. Be sure to sign up. If you haven't yet, spread the word about it. It's going to only get bigger. There's over 200 and something wrestlers on there already. So be sure to sign up right now. Shout out to rvd420.com over there. Go to greekglass.com. Get that RVD glass. Marco is in the chat too. You can always hit him up. And finally, go to 1tsport.com. Get some RVD merch like that t-shirt I just popped up earlier on the show. If you like what you're hearing, be sure to give us 5 stars on Apple or Spotify. Or be sure to subscribe to rvdtv.com and Rob Van Dam's YouTube channel. Check out that new Bobby Fulton video that he's got cooking up there.
Yes, get some popcorn, sit down, enjoy it.
Enjoy
It's
some
just
stories.
It's just a good energy kind of video, seeing all the love that Bobby earned.
That he earned for sure. He sure earned it. He sure earned it. But we earned a good episode here. Rob, it's always good chatting with you. And hey, guys, we will see you next time here on One of a Kind with who? The RVD. And vascularity, brother.